What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in with me, your girl Zesty and the Zesty Pooh Crew. So today, that's right, it's Thanksgiving time. I am going to make some collard greens. What I have now is I have my collard greens soaked in a salt water bath along with some apple cider vinegar. I only put probably about 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and probably about 6 tablespoons of salt, and I just have cool water, and I'm soaking that the greens so that I can pull the bugs off. So what you want to do once you get ready, and I'm using one hand because I'm recording, is this is how you want to break your stems. I do not go all the way up because I like some texture to my collard greens, and so this is how you want to break each stem. This right here is okay because it'll soften up. This you don't want. You see how hard that is? Alright. Alright, so now that I have my stems broken off of my collard greens, I'm going to break this a little bit more. How you want to do it is you want to take your collard green and you want to roll it up. Roll it up just like so. And you want to just chop it. And roll it up just like so. I just want to chop it down. Alright, so I am going to season my meat with ham hocks. I'm probably going to use about 3 ham hocks because I'm only making a small batch of collard greens. Feel free to enhance it as you go. And I'm going to show you what the collard greens look like after I've cut them. Boom, bam, boom. See? I cut them all down, and now they're little ribbons of collard greens. And so this is how you want your collard greens to look. And they're going to boil down. This looks like a lot of collard greens, but it's not. Collard greens most definitely shrink. So definitely if you have a larger family and you're cooking for a larger batch of people, just make sure that you use more collard greens because they will shrink down. So now we're going to go over and I'm going to show you how to start these ham hocks. So now what I'm about to do is I'm going to warm up my oil for my ham hocks. This is bacon grease. I got about 2 tablespoons of bacon grease, honestly, that I just reserved from some bacon. I like bacon flavor. My mom always used bacon grease, and I'm just going to plop it right in there. And we're going to saute the ham hocks before we add our water in here. And so this is just going to add an extra layer of flavor to the mix. So, and I'm using my cast iron skillet. I just like the cast iron skillet. It's not as big as I would like it to be, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil the ham hocks, and then I'm probably going to break them down a little bit to take some of the meat and then boil it in the greens so we can fit everything in there. So now what you want to do is you want to take that ham hock and plop it right in there. I have 3. I decided to use 3 because they're not as big. If you have the larger ones and you're not making a big batch, just go ahead and only add 2 ham hocks. And I'm just going to literally brown them on all sides. I'm going to say probably about 4 or 5 minutes. And also I was going to say, if you don't eat pork, you can always use smoked turkey neck, smoked turkey, any smoked meat will do. Don't use beef. I've never used smoked beef. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some chili flakes. I know it might sound crazy and it might make me choke, but I like to open up chili flakes. And I'm only going to put about a teaspoon in here. And I'm going to open them up with that oil. And it's gonna get smoky. Be careful because it's gonna probably choke you up because it's chili flakes. Don't burn the chili flakes though. So this is where I'm gonna start adding my water. And you want the water to cover your ham hocks. Now I'm just gonna let the ham hocks cook. I'm going to let mine cook for probably about, I don't know, probably about 2 or 3 hours. You want to check them because when they're tender, they're done. Because the thing about it is they're going to keep cooking. Either you can tear the meat off or you can keep the ham hocks right in there. I know my grandma and my mom, they keep their ham hocks right in the greens, which, you know, that works too. And so I like to cover my ham hocks. And like I said, it should be on a medium, just kind of like you stewing meat. You don't want to cook it too fast. And if you notice the water is going down and the ham hocks are not as tender as you would like them to be, just add some more water in it. I did try chicken stock one time and it did not work. I didn't like the chicken stock because I felt like it made it way too salty. Because later you're going to see me use this. And I think it contains a good bit of salt. This collard green seasoning, oh my God, it's so good. So for me, I'm not using chicken stock, but feel free if you want to use chicken stock to get it more flavorful, you can. I'm not doing that in this video. Maybe I might have done something wrong or added too much of this collard green season. Either way, to each his own. This is for beginners, and hopefully your greens turn out really good. So see you when I come back. Okay guys, so that ham hock has been boiling for a while. I want to show you guys. It's tender to the point to where the meat is falling off. And I've made a decision to leave my ham hocks in there because my mom said you should leave them in there and then just take the bones out so that way the meat can fall out into the greens. And I want to show you how tender this meat is. Let me get a fork. This is how you want your meat to look, okay? For those beginners, make sure you can do this. It's tender enough to eat, but as it cooks in those greens, it's going to get even better. See? So I'm just going to leave that in there so that way we can get a good bit of greens. And this is where I'm going to start adding my greens in. Now, halfway through adding the greens in, I have a medium white onion that I have cut up. And what you want to do when you put them in here, you just want to take your spoon and you just want to get them down in there. So once you've put in half of the greens that you're going to use, make sure you put the onion in the middle. So that way the onion will be all throughout the greens as it cooks. And then you'll be able to get that onion bite all over. Because if you put it at the top, I just don't like to put it at the top because I don't want to take the time to keep mixing it in. Now remember, these are going to shrink down. So it's going to look like a lot and you want to give it time to process in that water. You want to give it time. So now we got half of those greens in there. So while those are simmering down, this is where I'm going to put that white onion. Okay. You want to make sure that's in there good. And you can use a yellow onion if you don't have a white onion. Just use either yellow or white. I like white because I like that flavor. Now here's where I'm going to add my seasonings. And I'm probably going to add seasonings in the end as well. It depends on how my greens taste. I don't like to add too much because after it cooks, sometimes you don't want to over salt it or under salt it or whatever. This is just garlic powder. So I'm just adding garlic powder. And I am going to add some more chili flakes. I'm going to put another teaspoon of chili flakes in there. This version is not going to be too spicy. I'm going to also put some onion powder in here. And I'm just eyeballing based on what I like. As far as the seasoning is concerned, I just like garlic powder, onion powder. I'm also going to put about 2 tablespoons of vinegar, apple cider vinegar. I'm so sorry, apple cider vinegar. Actually, I'm going to put 3 tablespoons. And trust me, it won't be too much because while this cooks down, I'm probably going to end up having to add more water before the end because you don't want to burn your collard greens. You want to make sure, and you know what, you don't want too much water either. Just make sure it's enough to cover because when it cooks down, you know, the tenderness of the greens are going to start coming through. And by all means, you do not want your greens to be mushy. So putting too much water is going to just be mushy. So now I'm just adding some more greens. Oh, you know what? I forgot my collard green seasoning. So I have Bayda collard green seasoning. I think I showed this to you guys earlier. And I'm going to definitely only put the required measurement, which is 2 teaspoons. If you have this Bayda, do not go over 2 teaspoons. Like I said, just taste it. as you go. This stuff is real strong. Don't just sprinkle it in there. Use the measurement. Lastly, I'm going to add some sugar. Don't go overboard with the sugar. I only add sugar just to cut the bitterness of the collard greens because they can be a little bit bitter. So don't go overboard with that. Just, I'm going to say about 1.5 tablespoons. And then, you know, if you want to add sugar or more vinegar or whatever you want to add, do it at the end because these ham hocks is going to be seasoning these greens at the same time. Now I want you to pay attention. I did not add any more water to my pot yet. I'm still just pressing these greens down because like I said, they will shrink. You can cut up a whole bunch of bushes of greens and sometimes get one pot out of it. So just do this method. And then you don't want to overcrowd it. You know, because you want to give yourself room to stir it in between. Because, like, sometimes I might go through and just look at my greens just to see how they doing. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this pot up. I don't think I'm going to add any more water because it's covering the greens. Once it cooks down a little bit, it's covering the greens. So, basically, I'm going to let it cook for probably about 1.5 hours. And then I'm going to come back and look at it and see if they're tender. Oh, last but not least, I'm going to add some olive oil. Yes. This is my grandma's version. She always said add olive oil in your greens. She said it makes it tender. So I'm going to give it about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to shut it down. And, you know, feel free to add more oil as needed. The olive oil gives it that shine at the end. And that's why you don't want to put too much water in there either. Because you won't get that shine, that old school shine on them collard greens. So we're going to come back in about 1.5 hours and we're going to touch base. I meant to tell you guys, I'm keeping it on a medium. You want to probably adjust it to medium. No more than medium low, okay? You want to either cook slow, but not so slow to where they're not getting the texture that you're looking for. So, like I said, just keep it on medium and you should be good money. Yeah, baby. All right, guys, here we go. These are the greens. This is how they turned out. This is exactly 1.5 hours. So they turned out exactly the way I want them. And honestly, I did not have to add anything to them. Surprisingly, usually I have to add a little vinegar or a little salt, a little sugar. But I did a good job of seasoning, and that collard green season really came through for me this time. It's not over salty. 2 teaspoons for this pot of greens was perfecto. And y'all see how many greens I put in there and how they shrank down? That's all right. This is only for 2 people, and then we're probably gonna freeze some of them anyway. So this was perfect. You know, like I told you before, walk through the instructions. If you need more, use more. That's your prerogative. And if you need more meat, add more ham hocks. Get a bigger pot. It's all good. So with that being said, y'all, I just want to thank you so much for supporting me. I love each and every one of you. I just want to tell you guys to love out loud. Continue to love on yourselves. I enjoy what I do. I just love bringing recipes that you can make in your own home. So it just gives me joy to do that. And I love you guys. So with that being said, I'm going to read a positive affirmation and give you something to grow on. It says, overthinking will destroy your happiness and your mood. It'll make everything worse than it actually is. Take a deep breath. Exhale and have faith that what's meant to be will be. And I'm going to tell you guys, worrying is much like sitting in a rocking chair. You're doing a whole lot of movement, but you ain't going nowhere. So with that being said, what's the point of worrying when it ain't going to get you anywhere? Have faith and trust the process and ask God to continue to order your steps by his word. I love you guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day.